Now, it's a legend, but apparently Arab goat herders 1,200 years ago were the first to use coffee as a stimulant to stay awake to look after their animals. Now, TV scientist Adam Hart Davis is with me, so we have Islam to thank for that £4 cappuccino on the way to work there.
Yes, I'm not quite sure I believe this story of the goat herders.
Right, okay.
You know, I don't think it was ever written down, but it's a good story. And the fact is that coffee is in fact an Arabic word. It's kahwa, something like that. Sorry, my Arabic's not very good. But almost certainly traders, when they were coming from China, had to come through all the Arab countries and to the west. They almost certainly brought the idea with them, and they probably brought the coffee beans at the same time, you know, and flogged them off in the west. I don't know what they did with them. Anyway, yes, you know, it's definitely an Arab idea.
So what else do we have the Muslim world to thank for in terms of scientific inventions?
Well, there are many, many of them. My favourite chap is a chap called Ibn al-Haytham, who was born in Basra, and he read about the problems of the flooding of the Nile and wrote to the Caliph in Cairo and said he thought he could solve it. And he went there, and the Caliph welcomed him with open arms and gave him some money, you know, and sent him off with some workmen. When he got upriver, he discovered the Nile's actually about half a mile wide, an enormous river, and he realised that a couple of blokes with wheelbarrows couldn't do anything. He didn't dare tell the Caliph, because the Caliph was renowned for chopping people's heads off, so he pretended to go mad. And he stayed mad for 12 years. But when he came out of that, he did arguably the best physics that was done in the whole of the Middle Ages, because he showed how we see. He realised that there's light about, and when you open your eyes, the light pours in, and that's how you see. He realised that light travelled in straight lines and proved it. And he invented the camera obscura, which was originally just a dark room with a hole in one wall, so the light would come through and make an image on the opposite wall, upside down, reverse left to right. Looked like magic, but this was science. He was one of the first people to do hands-on science. Now, the camera obscura started as a room, got smaller and smaller, and now, of course, it's a little digital thing. And
right.
Indeed, this one here, this is a camera obscura too, only it doesn't look quite the same.
We've got a lot to be thankful for.
Well, exactly, and that comes directly from this brilliant Muslim bloke.
So why put this exhibition on, then?
Well, it's very important to show what the Muslims did. After the Roman and Greek civilizations had died out, this is about 500 AD, all science more or less stopped in the West, apart from the Arabs. And the Arabs took it up, and particularly there was a bloke called Al-Mamun, who was a caliph in Cairo, and in Baghdad, and he set up the House of Wisdom in order to translate the ancient texts of the Greeks and later the Indians, and that was how we preserved a whole lot of knowledge which otherwise would have been lost. So, for example, we use Arabic numerals, 0 to 9. They're actually Indian numbers. They were brought by the Arabs from India, translated into Arabic, which is why we think they're Arabic. And a whole mass of words like, you know, altitude and so on begin with al, which is again an Arabic preface.
And I'm seeing here soap.
Yes.
Tell us about soap.
Soap was very important. They needed to keep clean because it was a ritual before all the prayers. And they discovered that if they burnt some vegetables of various sorts, they wound up with stuff called alkali. We call it alkali, another al word, okay? And if they boiled that up, here is some alkali here, sodium carbonate or sodium hydroxide. If you boil that up with oil, olive oil will do, or castor oil, any of those things, what happens, it splits the molecules of the oil, and it gives you a little bit at the end which mixes with water. So then you let this stuff harden, and you get these wonderful hard cakes of soap. This will take the dirt off your skin, because the dirt is mixed with the grease that comes out of your skin. The nice oily bits mix with the grease on your hands, and the hydrophilic bits, the bits that like the water, get washed off with the water, clean your hands. We've been using Arabic soap ever since.
So what was Europe up to at this time, then?
Well, it was all asleep. I mean, basically, we've been taken over by the Christians, and the Christians said all you need to do is believe, don't do any science. But the Muslims were not like that, you see, because the Quran encourages people to look at science. It encourages people to look at the flight of birds and the falling of rain, and it, you know, really says, go and look at the world and see if you can work out how it works. Whereas we in the West were just, well, we were recovering after the Romans and basically forgetting all that they taught us. And this was the Dark Age.